Hi everybody, and welcome to Traveling with Russell, and welcome to the Moscow region. I'm outside of Moscow today, and I thought it would be interesting to show you a supermarket that's right behind me, and it's got a little bit of a history to it, so let's go check it out. If you're wondering where I am today making the video, I will put the information in the description and the map link to the store I'm going to go and visit. And this is the Mitino district. It's in the northwest of Moscow, outside of Moscow in what they call the Moscow region. And this is a very nice, peaceful, quiet area where I've come for a walk here. It's really interesting. There is a lot of very traditional Moscow apartment buildings. There is actually a new polyclinic right there, or like a micro hospital, I guess is the best way to describe it. And a mixture of more newer and older apartment buildings. And then a nice little boulevard to have a walk here. Where we want to go is this supermarket right here. This is Perekrestok, and I'm going to walk inside in just a minute. There is actually an apartment building attached to the back of the supermarket itself. And then just behind this other apartment building is a school. Actually, there's two different schools next to each other. Actually, you might even see kids coming from school now. I'm here in the early afternoon. However, this Perekrestok is where we want to go and have a look and have a walk around and check out a Russian typical supermarket. I hope you'll find this video interesting, of a very normal, very typical supermarket in Moscow. This particular chain has shops all across the Russian Federation, and they're a very well known and very respected brand of supermarket. Of course, you've got a lot of choices where you can go shopping. This particular shop is their first store that they opened 30 years ago. They just celebrated their 30th anniversary of the opening of the first location. And this is about 2 hours from where I live, on the other side of Moscow. But of course, the channel is about normal, typical, everyday things. And of course, I do lots of supermarket tours. So we've got to go check out the first Perekrestok in all of Russia. Just to explain about the way they build these shops and businesses. Very typically, when they build apartment blocks, like you see right here, they put businesses in the lower ground floor, or they attach them onto the building like they've done with this location. Now, I think in the last 30 years, it's gone under a couple of different renovations and changes. But if you look just across the street, there is another quite similar apartment building. I would say they're all built in the same time frame. And there's a series of about 12 different shops across there. So if you live in this district, everything is very close to where you live. You got your supermarket, behind this building is the school, across the road is the polyclinic, and you don't have to go far from where you live to do what you need to do on a daily basis. I think this might make an interesting walk around to have a look at this first location in Russia. And what's interesting about it now, of course, 30 years ago, it would have been a little bit different. You can bring your lizards into the store, as long as they're not more than 35 centimeters. It does say their pets are welcome. And of course, all the usual things, no rollerblading. I can't bring my hot dog in the store though. That's a bit of a shame. And the trading hours are every day from 8 a.m. till 11 p.m., which is also very normal. I really think 10 p.m. is late enough. You don't need to be later than that. They do have a new thing for the chain. So the actual owners of this chain of supermarkets is called X5 Group, right here. And they've introduced these pickup points, quite similar to what Amazon do in America, where they're putting them in suburban areas. They're not very popular, this way of doing shopping, but they're here. Got a few different promotions, things on special. And I think, being that this is their flagship store or their main location, I think it should be a nice shop. So the first thing we see is their cafe, and it's actually called Perekrestok Select. I have done a recent video of one of their locations in the center of Moscow, and it's the same branding that they're using. Have a look, they've got some nice cakes and pastries right here. They also do coffee as well. And you're not even walked in and they want you to relax already. And check this out. So when you come in to the cafe area, you've got somewhere to sit and relax and enjoy your time. You're not necessarily coming in actually to go shopping. You can come in and just enjoy the afternoon, have something to drink, something to eat. And then, quite similar to the Moscow location, they've got all of the ready food right here. So this food is basically prepared food. So there's things like sandwiches and soups, salads, pretty much breakfast, lunch and dinner if you want it. And then what they're trying to encourage is actually eat the food in the store. But of course, most people take it home, particularly in the suburban areas right here. People live within walking distance. There is the coffee machine where you make your own coffee if you don't want the barista to do it. So you can make your own coffee, and then you can do the self-checkout right here without even going to the register. So it's super easy and very much help yourself. And then if you need some inspiration, there's some mini champagne if you want to have with your lunch, and then a microwave, utensils, so you can heat up your food and eat it right in the store, which is very nice. I think I might have to grab something before I head out. I probably should point out at the entrance of the store, they've got the traditional bigger shopping baskets here. Because it is a bigger store, people will come here and do shopping for more than just a few days, which is very typical for most Russians to come shopping once a day or every 2 days. And what most people like to do is just use the smaller hand baskets. And actually the supermarkets encourage you to use these more than using the bigger baskets. You'd think, of course, they want us to shop more, but in Russia it's about shopping more often for smaller amounts of things. Plenty of different fruits. So there is pretty much every possible fruit in Russia. However, the prices fluctuate a lot based on the seasonal pricing. So whether it's from Russia or neighboring countries, or if it's coming from somewhere overseas, then that's where the prices will be higher and lower. I will say though, coming into Perekrestok stores, they are always very nice, very presented, and very neat and tidy. I don't have one of these stores where I live in my region. We do have the other chain stores from X5 Group. They do also do pizza in Perekrestok cafes as well. And actually this has been something they've had in all of their stores for a lot of years. And then the cafe side, which is over here, is something they've added more recently and expanded it a lot more than what it used to be. The pizza here is actually really nice, inspired by the slice. So plenty of traditional fruits and vegetables. So this is actually a lot bigger than what I thought it was going to be when I was looking up this store. Also healthy food options at the front of the shop as well. So if you need any of the different types. I do get asked a lot, do they have them in Russia? Absolutely they do. It's just not as emphasized depending on the store that you go to. How nice does this feel walking around here? This whole healthy green section And they've even put all of the different dairy products as well. So things that might be gluten-free and different plant-based products. This is super nice. They've even got different lighting in this section. So you've got pretty much everything you want. So quite a lot of things also in this branded supermarket is under their own private labels. So you'll see that across the whole store. They also have prepared bakery products. So you probably can't see, but in the back, they've got the ovens that they can do these in. So these will all be made every few hours until the end of the evening. And if you're lucky to come shopping overnight, or at least after 9 p.m, you get the discount. It says until 5 a.m. However, the shop closes at 11, so not sure how that works. This is all of the normal bread that would come from bakeries somewhere else in the Moscow region. And the classic loaves of bread right there. We come around to everybody's favorite section, all of the snacks, cookies, biscuits, more than enough Oreos. So Mondelez is definitely doing their job and making sure things are stocked up. My mum's favorite here, Belvita. And then also we have a fridge with some cakes. Nice and easy to take over to a friend's place. I love how they put the wines here at the same time and pair the food together. So these will actually be delivered to the shop every day or every second day. They've got short barcodes or short use by dates. You can also get discount as well in the evenings. And then they'll only get a few delivered, they'll sell through them and then get some more. Because this store is quite a bit bigger than a lot of other supermarkets, they've got more of a traditional aisle set up here as well. So you've got that standard aisle design, so you can go up and down them. I really want to walk more towards the back and have a look at the dairy and meat section. It's really interesting just to see how this layout differs from some of their other stores. There is a frozen section. Also, I will say this store, being that it was originally opened 30 years ago, back then it would have took a lot of influence from Western supermarket chains, because at the time this format wasn't a thing in Russia, and the way that people shopped up and down aisles wasn't a thing, and they wanted to try to bring that Western influence into Russia and try to make us shop how we're told to shop. Whereas traditionally before, let's say the 1990s, we'd go to markets or rynoks, where we'd go to individual vendors for things. So here we see jams, relishes, pickled vegetables, more pickled vegetables. And when this would have first opened, people would have been a bit taken back by the fact they've got to walk up and down aisles and spend time doing their shopping. Plenty of choices of Heinz in this store. Perekrestok does also have a little bit more imported products than a lot of other supermarkets have in Russia. So there's generally more choices, if you like. What have we got in the frozen section? So ice cream, some frozen vegetables. Actually, in our freezer at home, we only have some frozen dumplings or pilmeni. It's the only frozen item, which is actually what this person is looking for right here. There's actually a few displays of it, and it's pretty much in every Russian household's freezer. And we come now to the dairy section. Plenty of choices of hams, sausages, also all of the sachet items for cooking. I think most people know Maggi, or is it pronounced Maggie? Somebody needs to let me know if I'm saying it wrong. A little bit of seafood. If you want to see an interesting video, I went to the factory for this brand in St. Petersburg, and I'll put a link to that video if you want to see my visit to their factory. So lots of more simpler packagings of seafood. And actually they have at the back here a counter with smoked fish, fresh fish. Have a look at that salmon right there. Very nice. And there's also a section with a butcher. This is really interesting to explain this because a lot of people maybe doesn't know this. So in Russia, the largest producer of a lot of meats is Perekrestok, this brand right here. And they also have their own chain of supermarkets. And they also produce meats that are packaged and sold in other supermarkets, which is quite interesting. And depending on the shop you go to, they'll have more or less products. But you can also just get normal meats. So the way a lot of Russians like to shop is by just buying the amount they need. So you're not buying large packagings, you're just getting a smaller amount of things. They've also got some different meats that you can use for barbecuing as well. Plenty of choices of ham. And then even the cheese section. Have a look at all the different cheeses. So you can buy them in the cut blocks, or you can ask them to actually cut an amount that you want. That might be more or less. So you have control over how much you buy and how much you spend. All the different salamis and smoked meats. It is really interesting as I'm walking around, just being that this is a larger supermarket, they've got a much bigger selection of things, and the amount of different types of hams, sausages is really quite a lot. I think there'd have to be 50 or 70 types across all of the shelves. And they have a small prepared meat section here. So you can get things like sausages, mince, chicken. I just want to say a quick hello and thank you to a subscriber that I met as I was walking in, and he was literally walking out of the store and he just realized who I was, and we stopped for a photograph. I didn't catch your name, but thank you so much. And he also mentioned the fact that this is the first location of Perekrestok in Russia. I think a lot of people who live here, of course, know this and are very proud of the fact that this is store number 1. The main thing is I hope my wife doesn't watch this video because she'll be very upset that I didn't ask her what she might want me to bring home. Because I'm on the other side of Moscow, I don't have any plan to buy anything to carry with me for the rest of the day. So we saw the cheeses in the deli counter, and they have all of the packaged cheeses here as well. So these are all the cheeses from different manufacturers in Russia, and plenty of choices as well. And then also pasta. So you have choices of branded pasta, or you can get some of the more generic house brands as well. Somebody did tell me that the Barilla brand was expensive, but really the price is very normal here versus other shops. And I don't know where they get this idea, but I guess everybody has their own way of looking at it. Plenty of types of oils. Also all the olive oils as well. I don't see the well-known Australian brand, but I have found it in Russia though. So you'll see here this market collection. So this is the in-house brand. You'll see also the logo of the supermarket as well. So they have a lot of production and packaging with their own brand. All of the types of coffee. So you'll see here all of the coffee pods on the left-hand side, and then the traditional bags of coffee. Coffee is not produced in Russia. It's imported and then generally repackaged. So they will sometimes say that it's from Russia, but it's really not. And of course, plenty of choices of coffee as well. So generally, a lot of people will always say coffee is more expensive in Russia, but that's true because it's imported. And there isn't any domestic production. Some healthy energy bars. And then all of the different choices of tea. And this is why most Russians have a cupboard in their kitchen with never-ending choices of teas, because every time you come, you see another flavor and another packaging of it. So there is no end to the amount of teas that the average Russian has at home. As I've been walking around, I'm still taken back a little by this traditional layout of the aisle. So there's this one middle walkway, and then all the aisles that go left and right of that. And it's just so interesting because you just don't see it in suburban supermarkets. And then when I come here, so I think they've really kept that original layout of the store, and then over time they'll have done some remodeling, new signage, new fridges and things like that. This is all of the traditional dairy items. So things like creams, milks, never-ending choices of yogurt. So you'll see this gentleman here has about 50 to choose from. So he just has to find what flavor he might want. Plenty of choices of cottage cheese, sour cream. Lots of choices. I think that's the one thing that's misunderstood quite a lot when you come to Russia and you walk in a supermarket for the first time, because I think if I look at Australia as an example, we're almost told what to buy based on what the shop sells. Whereas in Russia, they want to stock as many choices, as many brands, and as many different manufacturers as possible. This is all of the normal bottles of milk. So you generally buy milk in Russia by fat percentage. So you might see here 2.5. And what do we have? 3.4, 3.3. Has anybody bought their milk that way before? Also, all of the long life milks are presented the same way as well. So you'll see here 3.5% fat. I'm not sure if that's a thing in the West where they're telling you how much fat is in something. I thought the companies were against telling us that, but in Russia it's how people want to shop. Actually, have a look here. So there's some Starbucks coffee pods. So Starbucks did leave Russia, but somehow they've made them here at this shop. So these are actually imported. So you'll see, just to give you an example of how it is. So you see the white label on the packaging. So these are probably from another country or a third country. And then they put the white sticker on with the ingredients in Russian Cyrillic. So we've got more candy. So this is where we probably spend too much time with the endless sweets and treats, marzipan. They also have Indonesian candy right there. So again, you'll see they have their own production of some of the candies. And then of course, all of the imported or Western brands, products from Italy, France. And we come then to the personal care section. If you are watching this video and it was recommended to you and you're wondering, why am I watching a supermarket video? So my channel started about 3 years ago, and my background is in retail, in supermarkets, duty-free shops on airports and on cruise ships. And I thought it was a good idea to document the retail markets or industry here in Russia. And that's how you found this video. I've had quite a few of the staff members actually come up and ask me about the video. And generally when I come to locations, I'll come for a walk around and I'll generally explain that I'm going to make a video, I'm going to walk around with a camera. And of course, it's completely allowed to do this in Russia, even without asking or explaining. But I just find it polite to do that. And then people aren't wondering what I'm showing, what I'm filming. Here is the pet section. And then all of the personal items. I even have a fridge with some chilled drinks. You can even get the imported Guinness right there. Then if you are from England, Fuller's London Pride. Is that a brand or is that something that I should know about? All of the types of water. And then drinks, energy drinks. So a lot of things that we know very well. So all of the beer that you're buying in shops in Russia are in single servings. So you buy them one at a time. Of course, you can get as many as you like, but they just have them in a single serve, not in a case or a pack or a slab. Depending on where you live, they have different names. And then they've got all of the alcohol. Choices of chips. So the Pringles are also imported as well. So you'll see again that white label right there stuck over the top. And they've actually got the Burger King flavored corn chips. I actually had these in Australia as well. Lay's. There's a gherkin flavored one. If you want to try something different. So the alcohol section, they even sell the glasses. All of the very normal spirits. There's a very big wine selection in the store. We've even got some chilled wines and some premium types. They are very well known for their wine selection. So if you go to some of the bigger supermarket formats, you're going to see a lot of choices. Of course, we've got to have plenty of choices of vodka. Beluga, probably the most recognized exported brand. More wines. So the wines are interesting here. So they've got them by country. So France, Italy, Spain, and there is some from the CIS countries, so Georgia, Armenia, also South Africa. There has to be some New Zealand or Australian wines somewhere. So all of the things that we're used to. So the difference, of course, here you can buy your alcohol inside the supermarket. You're not going to a separate store, so you can do it all under one roof. Champagnes. And then they've actually got a section here with Russian wines, which is nice. Let's see these flags. What do they have? Is the Australian flag here? They have right there next to, I'm not sure of the other two flags. Germany is there. So somewhere here, there should be some Australian wine hiding. There's a lot of brands to read. Is it only in Russia, or is there big selections of watermelons everywhere in the world? Now this is currently the seasonal fruit right now, so there is quite a lot of choices. But I'm curious, I don't think in Australia we have 10 different types of watermelons. All of the other vegetables. You can also get some other pickled ones as well. Where is my pickled mushrooms? I don't see them. They've got the beetroot up the top there, which I like though. And we just about reached the end of the video, or the last part, and the registers. So you've got the traditional cash registers right there, the lady helping everybody. And they do have in this store quite a few of the self-checkouts as well. This is slowly becoming a thing in Russia, although not everybody likes it. We still want to have that interaction and conversation with the lady at the counter. And even though there is self-checkout, people are still willing to wait to pay for their items. As I walk on out of Perekrestok, today I forgot my hoodie or my jacket, and I'm kind of regretting it now because it's become a little bit cloudy. Hope it's not going to rain. I'm trying to extend my Russian summer as long as possible, and I was in a bit of a rush to go and catch the train to come over to this part of Moscow. And when I was sitting on the train, I'm realizing I'm not wearing my hoodie. The weather is fine though, it's not that bad. It's probably about 17 Celsius today. It's very manageable. But definitely now that summer is over, slowly the temperature is just dropping a little bit each day. I hope you've enjoyed the video and this brief walk around of Mytino, this very typical Russian suburb here with these buildings that I would say date back to maybe the late 70s or 80s, maybe some of the newer ones in the 90s. And I think a lot of people that have lived here for a lot of years as well, who haven't moved to somewhere else. The thing when you're looking for apartments to buy or rent, you'll find in these older suburbs that there's less available because less come up for sale. Simple as that. I hope you've enjoyed the video and this walk around of the first Perekrestok in Russia. For me and for the channel, I think it's a little bit significant to come to these sorts of places and try to do some kind of different videos and see how it is in the suburbs. And this is Moscow region, remember, not Moscow. So this is further away. However, they've got more than 1,000 of these supermarkets across Russia. So we could go to one a few thousand kilometers away and it really is quite similar. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, post a comment, let me know how it compares to your local supermarket. Do you have the cafe? Can you go and have a slice of pizza while you're shopping? And perhaps more or less of an assortment. I need to walk up this street here, but I want to make sure the camera doesn't get dizzy. There is a Tesla taxi right there, which is really interesting. You don't see them as taxis, you see them as private cars, but it's just parked on the corner of the street. If you like the video and you want to follow my daily adventures, my Telegram channel is right here. You can click that and join the group chat. And if you want to watch an old video on the channel, one is going to come up right now, and you can keep traveling with Russell. Okay, everybody, I'm off on another adventure. Bye.